Hi everyone, and thank you for joining me for another video. I want to thank all of my new subscribers for subscribing to my channel. It is such a joy to watch my channel grow daily, and I'm just so glad you're all here. So today we're going to talk about how to protect ourselves from dogs and how to survive a dog attack. How to protect our physical bodies. In my last couple of videos, we discussed strategies to protect ourselves mentally from dog owners. Because dog owners can be very abusive. We discussed the fascinating mental illness they suffer from. And we discussed Darvo, where something that we observe regularly with dog lovers, they reverse the roles of victim and offender. And they treat anyone who points out the truth about dogs as evil. And they will fabricate stories, and they will just react in a very irrational and aggressive manner. And this is something we need to protect ourselves from. And it really helps to understand the psychology of it. When you do understand it, you can label it as such and walk away and not get sucked in. Because what tends to happen a lot of the time is when we interact with these people, they drag us down into their insanity. And we can literally go nuts when we interact with them. So it's best to avoid them, understand they are sick. It's only a question of time before this mental illness is identified as such and listed in the DSM. We need to understand that when a person arrives at a belief or an opinion by means other than rational thinking, when they do not use logic to arrive at their position, then trying to use logic to change their opinion will never work. You cannot attack it with, logic. So you need to step away. And we talked about core beliefs. A very interesting video. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But I think that there is a social core belief that is held by our society. That dogs are great and loving, loyal, blah, blah, blah. And that with persistent effort, if we all work diligently at chipping away slowly at the outer layers, at the supporting beliefs which hold that core belief in place, by consistently pointing out facts, sharing these videos that I'm making, sharing, articles and statistics, eventually we will be successful at dismantling this core belief, and people will change the way they view dogs. And things will shift. We need to remember that that social change happens very slowly, and we are only in the very beginning stages of this movement. But we will win. We will prevail. The truth will prevail. There can be no other way. Things cannot keep going the way they are going. Awareness is growing. More and more people are opening their eyes to the truth about dogs. But we need to get back on track here. We're talking about physical protection now. We're talking about protecting ourselves from dogs, putting the mental illness of dog owners aside. We need to realize that we are fighting a war on terror here. The enemy is not ISIS. When I'm talking about terror and terrorists, I'm not talking now about Islamic extremists trying to spread their ideology. I am talking about these dog cultists trying to spread their dog-loving ideology. This, to me, is a more serious issue, honestly, because I know that many of you who support this channel are afraid to go outside, to walk down your street with good reason. Because if you look at this map, this is from the National Pitbull Victim Awareness website, and you can view maps from different years with all of these dots. They are interactive maps. You can click on these dots to read news stories of dog attacks. Each dot represents an attack, and these dots only represent the attacks that made the news. There are so many more attacks that didn't make the news. Dog attacks are happening in record numbers with no end in sight. And, I talked about how in the last two videos, we were talking about how dog lovers are in denial. And they are. They still maintain that dogs will not attack if they are trained properly. They won't attack if they are raised with love. They won't attack unless they are provoked. These are myths I'm going to link you to a wonderful website called Daxton's Friends, and they break apart all of these myths that are perpetuated. Check it out. The evidence that dogs, that well-trained family dogs that were never mistreated, are attacking regularly, unprovoked. This evidence is plentiful. There's mountains of evidence. And, it doesn't matter how many stories, how much evidence you present to a dog lover, they will deny it. They will deny any evidence that does not support their belief. And that's just fascinating. How can you deny what is so glaringly obvious? But they do. And so we just need to keep at it. Just be persistent, keep showing them the truth. Eventually, things have to change. Anyhow, we cannot be in denial. There are so many websites that are devoted to preventing dog bites. Even the Center for Disease Control has a bogus page. They give bogus advice. Like I Hate Dogs said in one of his recent uploads, he uploaded a video about preventing dog bites by getting rid of dogs. This is the most obvious solution, but it is never given as advice. They never advise you to not get a dog or to get rid of your dog or to stay away from dogs. They'll tell you to stay away from unfamiliar dogs or to not approach unfamiliar dogs. But who cares? What stupid asinine advice is that when the most likely place for the attack to occur is in the home of the victim, and the second most likely place is at the home of a friend of the victim? Most dogs that attack are dogs that people know. They are not unfamiliar dogs. So why are they advising people to stay away from unfamiliar dogs? It's stupid. They should be telling people, don't get a dog, don't have one in your home, and don't visit homes that have dogs in them. It says 77% of biting dogs are owned by the victim's family, a relative or a friend of the family. It's just unbelievable. The tips they give, the advice they give, just useless, absolutely useless. And they talk about how you need to not run from a dog. Go back to those maps with those dots, click on the dots, read the stories, and you're going to read. Like, I spent a lot of time doing that. And I'm going to say the majority of them, in the majority of cases, the dogs just appear out of nowhere. They come rushing out of the door, they come bounding through the fence, or they just appear. They come running across the street to attack a child riding their bike, minding their own business, playing in their front yard, gardening. People are just doing normal everyday activities such as getting out of the car, walking on the sidewalk, and these dogs run after them because it is their nature. It is predatory aggression. And people, dog lovers, are in such denial about this. They insist that if the dog, was trained correctly, it won't attack. They are denying predatory aggression. And I addressed this in my video about how dogs are natural predators, especially dogs that were bred to bait bears and bulls, like pit bulls and pit bull type dogs. They have a very high prey drive that can be set off randomly that you don't know. And this is the thing. I had a pit bull all my life. It was the sweetest dog, never attacked anyone, so you're full of shit. Not every dog is going to attack, but you never know which ones will. They are all ticking time bombs. Just because you knew a dog that didn't attack, that is not proof that dogs are not attacking every day, because they are. Your personal experience doesn't count for anything. No one cares that you were never bitten. You were lucky. That's it. Predatory aggression is something that can kick in at any time. A dog could be the sweetest dog for 8 years, never show any aggression, then all of a sudden something in them turns and they launch an attack and no one can explain it, and the owners are always shocked. This happens regularly, and yet dog lovers continue to deny it. But anyway, getting back to, man, I have so much to say. I could just ramble on about this all day long. And before I talk about ways we can actually protect ourselves and survive a dog attack, there's just one more thing I want to say about these people who defend dogs. They often will link you to or direct you to websites that misuse deceptively misuse dog statistics, such as Canine Journal. They often, refer to this website. It's so deceptive. They'll talk about how there's so many millions of dogs in America and only this tiny percentage of dogs actually bite. And only this tiny percentage of dog bites actually require medical attention. As though it's such a small number, we shouldn't even worry about it. They're not looking at the actual numbers, which I'm going to tell you right now the numbers are 800,000 dog bites each year require medical attention. If you do not think that is a big number, you have a problem. Look at this stadium. Look at how many people. This seats 100,000 people. Multiply that by 8. That's only in 365 days. That amount of people have dog bites that are so serious they require medical attention. Multiply this amount of people that you see in this stadium by 3.34. 334,000 bites are severe enough to warrant treatment in a hospital. More than 3 times this amount of people are being hospitalized each year because of a dog attack. I wanted to share this article with you from the Animals 24/7 website. Everyone should be made aware of the information in this article. This is something that should be taught in schools. They talk about the bad advice that we are given from celebrity trainers, from the Humane Society, CDC, everywhere, all these different places giving us bogus tips and information. It says that if these people were giving us, if these expert geniuses were passing out advice, if they really knew what they were talking about, then we would not have had 102 dog attack fatalities in the last 800 days preceding this update. Because I guess this article was printed a while ago, and this is the 2019 update. It says that more than half of all the fatal and disfiguring attacks on record in the US would not have occurred in the past 10 years. See? So that means that more than half of the fatal and disfiguring attacks had nothing to do with people approaching dogs when they were eating or sleeping, had nothing to do with provoking the dog or, all that bogus advice they give you. People could have followed that and still gotten disfigured or killed. Same tired tips. It talks about, and they talk about how the majority of these dogs are pit bulls. I can tell you that pit bulls and their mixes are not normal dogs. I've talked about this in previous videos. Of course, I'm not going to get into that in too much detail, but to give you an example, I used to have this very loud air horn that was designed for ships, for boats. And I used to use it effectively, very effectively, on neighborhood dogs when they would venture into my yard, when they would roam around, come in my yard. I would blow the horn, and each and every one of those neighborhood dogs would bolt instantly, run away, terrified. When I got some new neighbors move in, these new people moved in with 3 pit bull mixes. And one of them was in my yard once. It was chewing up my kid's soccer ball. And I blew the horn as loud as I could. The thing was it is so loud. When I blew it, the dog just looked at me, did not flinch. Just looked at me and didn't move. And that's when I realized these dogs really are not normal dogs. What I notice when I click on all of the dots on the interactive map on the National Pitbull Victim Awareness website is what it says right here in the article, that many of the human victims are disfigured or killed while trying to protect their pets from a dog attack. So a very good way to avoid this is to not have a pet. Don't have a dog, don't go for a walk with a dog. Then you will drastically reduce your risk of being attacked by a dog, because these dogs see your pet dog, they see a prey animal, their predatory instinct kicks in, and they attack your dog. So avoid that. Simple. Just don't have a dog. Don't walk a dog. Some people wonder if laser lights might protect you against a dog attack. It says that no, dogs generally don't care about lights, so don't rely on that. And then it gets into weapon success rates, and this is what I want to talk about. Based on actual case data, it says a firearm has about an 80% success rate in stopping a charging pit bull, so pretty high. But it also has a high rate of accidentally killing or injuring other people nearby. It says, though, that a fire extinguisher has about a 70% success rate with no risk to bystanders. And then it talks about a bite stick, meaning something a dog can be induced to bite instead of a human or animal victim. They say that bite sticks can usually be used safely by anyone who has an appropriate object to use as a bite stick and is able to keep his or her head. A lot of people panic when they're being attacked or witnessing an attack, and so it's important to keep your cool, keep your head. Not everyone can do that, so. It says knives and blunt instruments have negative success rates. See, I used to think that it was good to carry a large knife on me, and I did. But it says that people who use them are more likely to actually increase the severity of an attack than to help themselves or help others get away. Blunt force usually fails. It says unless the swinger has major league bat speed, power, and ability to make accurate contact with a rapidly and unpredictably moving target, the dog will easily dodge the attempted blow, and the person swinging the blunt object will be off balance, and the dog may then pull the person down to inflict severe or fatal injury. So don't swing a bat or blunt object at a dog. It says to use the blunt object as a bite stick instead. It says a walking cane, a broomstick, fence, slat, or any other long, sturdy object can do the job. It says it's futile to pound on a dog's head to try to make it let go. Most animals, including humans, respond to a blow on the head by clenching their teeth, and this is why prize fighters wear mouthpieces. Among pit bulls, this tendency is even more pronounced. So pounding on their head is just going to make them bite down harder. To make the pit bull let go of something, it's necessary to pry the dog's jaws apart with a break stick, meaning a relatively sturdy object. You could even use a screwdriver. And to do this safely, the person doing the prying should be behind the dog with their face out of reach of a quick snap, because they will try to bite you in the face. Again, it says that knives are next to useless. It says a dog meeting a knife blade will already be no more than an arm's length away when the knife strikes, so will be on the user, probably slightly injured and even more infuriated in a split second. So it's just going to intensify the attack and make things worse. It says dogs don't recognize knives, so showing a dog a knife, it's just going to think you're trying to play. It doesn't understand. It says to grab a fire extinguisher. And after reading this article, I got myself a fire extinguisher. Gonna have it in the car, have it by the front door, always have it handy. Animals 24/7 recommends fire extinguishers as the safest and most humane tools for interrupting a dog attack, since using a fire extinguisher does not require closely approaching the dog. A fire extinguisher does not have to be aimed very accurately to have a deterrent effect, and a fire extinguisher does not quickly run out of ammunition. A fire extinguisher does not produce an erratic ricochet, and a fire extinguisher is normally non-lethal, even if discharged directly into a lunging dog's throat. Now, so keep a fire extinguisher handy. And you know what really bothers me is how they talk about it being a humane tool. Is the dog acting humanely when it's shredding up our kids, when it's ripping through your muscles, dismembering you? Why must we show these vicious, satanic animals any sort of compassion? Why are they worth that? And it just drives me up the wall. I have to make a video about how we are not allowed to protect ourselves against dogs. It's like anytime someone uses lethal force, it doesn't matter if their life is in danger, doesn't matter if their kids' lives are in danger. If you use lethal force in protecting yourself, in self-defense, people are going to lose their minds and attack you. And that makes absolutely no sense, because if you would use lethal force in protecting yourself against a cougar or a wolf or whatever, no one would care. But if it's against a dog, that's about to kill you or your kids, you're branded a monster. This happened to me personally when I told people in my community in a online Facebook group that I was prepared to defend myself and my kids by carrying a machete. I said this because people were complaining about how dangerous it is. They don't go jogging anymore around my community because I live in a rural area, and they're like, it's not safe. We have all these roaming dogs, and I was attacked. Oh, I was attacked too, and blah blah blah. I have to drive 15 kilometers into town to go jogging, and I was like, you know what? I carry a weapon, and I'm prepared to use it. I was ganged up on. I was ousted from the group. They thought I was an absolute monster. They bullied me. It was ridiculous, and that is when I really realized that these people are sick, and they're putting the life of a dog above my life and above my children's lives. Sick, sick, sick. You're just supposed to stand there and let the dog attack you. But I guess if you're using something like a fire extinguisher, that's not going to do any permanent damage. They're not going to get as upset. And it's supposed to be very effective. It says that besides the deterrent effect of the fire extinguisher's contents, which tend to make animals quickly short of breath without lastingly harming them. Yeah, because the poor little doggies, you don't want to hurt them. They're so sweet and innocent. Most animals, including most dogs, retreat from the snake-like hiss of a discharging fire extinguisher. Interesting how that is. They didn't retreat from the loud sound of my air horn, but a hiss of a fire extinguisher is supposed to make them retreat. I don't know, I never used a fire extinguisher myself, but these people are saying that it's effective. But that carrying one while walking, jogging, or whatever, or working outdoors is awkward. But there should always be a fire extinguisher in every kitchen. Like I said, I'm keeping mine close by the front door and in my vehicle. So, and if you go hiking, I guess it can't hurt to have one in your backpack, although it can be pretty heavy. I guess they do sell them in different sizes. Get a small one. Other spray devices can be effective. It says that pepper spray and mace must be relatively accurately directed. So you have to aim it well. They're typically carried in smaller containers, so they're easier to carry, but they're meant for use at close range. They don't have a very high success rate, though. Bear spray, pepper spray, and mace have about a 40% success rate in stopping pit bull attacks, which is not very high, is it? Pocket sprays such as mace, pepper spray, and ammonia sprayers. Because I've heard people say that, they put ammonia in like a water gun. And that's supposed to be effective. Here they say that similar devices that try to replicate in miniature the fire extinguisher effect. In truth, a spray can of almost anything would work about as well. I don't know. Part of what makes fire extinguishers effective is that the foam comes out under pressure and rapidly expands. So the volume actually helps to form an olfactory and visual barrier. So the dog can't see its victim, can't hear its victim. Can't smell its victim as well. And nothing in a small container can have a similar effect. Interesting. It says tasers and tranquilizers are often useless. The tasers work about as well on thickly furred animals as tossing a ping pong ball. And so don't bother with those. Pain does not stop a pit bull. It says pain is not a deterrent to a pit bull. If you have seen pit bulls fighting, you would know that they will fight on to the death even after losing ears, legs, and having their guts trailing on the ground. I told you these are not normal dogs. So forget about trying to inflict pain. It actually intensifies the attack if you hurt the dog. So it says, again, fire extinguishers work. And sometimes a sudden, unfamiliar noise works. Even throwing a pan of cold water on the dog is more likely to work than inflicting pain. So don't bother doing that. They say to push instead of pull. Seems a little like counterintuitive. I think most people would try to pull away from the dog, but don't do that. It says by pushing into the dog's mouth, that force causes most dogs to open their mouths and enables the victim to avoid the sort of ripping injuries that result from pulling away from a dog's serrated teeth. It does say, though, that it may not be universally applicable to all dog bites, especially the gripping bites of pit bulls and other dogs of fighting ancestry, which is why they need to be banned. The first bite disables, it explains, that most dogs bite defensively. They'll bite and let go and retreat, but pit bulls and other bully breeds bite offensively and will not let go. Instead, they bite and shake. This behavior produces the degloving injuries that are so frequent in pit bull and Rottweiler attacks, in which skin and muscle are stripped from the bone. See, other dog breeds won't do that. Another reason why they need to be banned, these fighting breeds. The only effective defense against that attack mode is to prevent the attack from occurring in the first place. They say you can prevent an attack from occurring by using a bite stick. It's something that you thrust into the dog's mouth, and so while the dog is biting on the bite stick, the dog will not be able to bite anything else. Be aware that a bite stick is not the same as a break stick. A break stick is the pointed instrument that dog fighters push, or anyone can push between a pit bull's teeth to make the pit bull release the bite. But if you can give the pit bull something else to bite instead of your body or another human body, then that's good. And the article ends by saying your best weapon is your brain. That quick thinking, along with having a bit of good luck, is going to help you. Well, good luck is not guaranteed. But he talks about once he was driving home from playing softball when he saw two pit bulls chasing someone on a bike and then redirecting to a small female jogger. So what he did is he got out of his car, handed his bat to the jogger, stepped between her and the dogs, and offered his fielder's glove as a bite stick. But then he had the sudden inspiration to order sit. Told the dogs to sit, and incredibly, they listened. They broke off the attack and sat. And then after, when the jogger walked away and eventually started to run away, the dogs took off after her again, and then he did it again. He yelled, sit, and the dogs suddenly stopped just in time, and they sat just in time for the jogger to get away. She escaped. So that's worth a try, I guess, but you got to be really lucky. In the comments section of this article, the author writes that relying on how to read dog behavior tips, which you'll find all over the place in articles all over the internet, relying on those is precisely why we have the present epidemic of fatal and disfiguring dog attacks, particularly by pit bulls and other bully breeds. He writes, pit bulls, for instance, notoriously wag their tails with enthusiastic joy while dismembering a hapless victim, whose first warning of the presence of the pit bull came when the pit leaped over a fence, ran through a doggy door at a stranger's house, jumped out of a parked car to attack a passerby on the sidewalk, or in some cases even leaped over a second-floor balcony to attack. I have provided video evidence of this in my video called Dogs Are Natural Predators. Check that out. I have some video footage I took off of YouTube, or just go on YouTube and look for pit bull attack, and you're going to see these dogs are always wagging their tails enthusiastically with joy while they are attacking innocent people who did absolutely nothing to provoke them. The evidence, like I said, is plentiful. It is right there. Read the reports. I don't know how these people deny this evidence. They do. It's mind-boggling. Pit bulls, he writes, have been bred for centuries to go directly from repose to all-out lethal response without giving warning signals in response to sounds or scents that a human may not even recognize. This is because the pit bull who hesitates at the scratch line while giving warning signals is soon a dead pit bull who does not pass along his genes. Again, this is something that separates pit bull type dogs from other breeds. They do not give warning signals before they attack. So all of this how to read dog behavior advice is useless when it comes to pit bull type dogs. Read through the comments on this article. There's some other tips. People are talking about the wheelbarrow technique, where if you are not the person being attacked, you can go behind the dog, grab the dog's legs and lift them up so the dog is kind of in a vertical position. That sometimes works, although putting yourself in close proximity to the dog puts you at risk because the dog can whip around and bite you. And furthermore, it says that using this technique on a dog that uses a grip and hold attack method, like we discussed, the pit bulls, they latch on, they shake and they don't let go, like other breeds. This means that if you do that, the wheelbarrow technique on a dog that, like a fighting dog that uses that technique, they say that the person who is lifting the dog is actually helping the attacking dog to tear the victim's flesh from the bones. So yeah, you might not want to use that technique. So read through the comments. People have different tips and they give advice. Like I said, I will provide the link in the, I don't know if I said it, I'm telling you now. I will provide the link in the description box for you. And if you have any advice or any tips to share with us, please do so in the comments. The goal of this video is to help all of us stay safe, keep our kids safe. And, you have to realize that it is a battle zone out there. America is not the land of the free. People are living in terror of dogs. They are terrified to leave their homes in America. Not because of Islamic extremists. It's because of dogs and their deranged owners who keep perpetuating these dangerous lies that it's not the dogs, it's the owners, it's all how you raise them. These are dangerous, dangerous lies, and you need to call people out at every turn. When you hear this stuff, send them the links to these articles, send them these videos. Open eyes, speak out. Don't let them get away with this drivel any longer. I think it was Edmund Burke who said, "The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing." You'll also see memes online. Albert Einstein apparently said, "The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything." See, I think there is a very loud and vocal group of dog lovers that are pushing, especially these pit bull cultists who want people to believe that these are good dogs and that it's all about how you raise them and deny the dog's genetics. They exist, but there is also a very large, silent, I don't know if it's a majority, but they are out there. There's a large group of people who just don't say anything. They actually see what we see and they know what we know, and they feel the way we do about dogs, but they're afraid to say anything because they fear the backlash. Guys, please find the courage within yourselves to stand up to these people. When you hear them spread their nonsense, realize these people have blood on their hands. It is because of these people that people are being disfigured and killed on a regular basis. These people are guilty. People are so sick and they're blind to this dog insanity. But the damage that dogs are doing is beyond comprehension. It is huge and massive and terrible and awful, and it is a battle zone. We are being terrorized. This is a war on terror, and we need to fight it, even if it's just by sharing links, raising awareness. I think that's the only way this battle can be won. There's no sense in arguing with a hardcore pit bull advocate, but try to open the eyes of that silent group of people who are not emotionally invested in dogs, or pit bulls specifically, because pit bulls are doing the most damage by far, but reach them so that together we can grow in numbers and we can stand up to them as a group. We need more numbers. We need more people. We need more content creators making videos. We need more people speaking out. I know you're out there, guys. Just, you gotta find the courage. All right, we gotta win this. And future generations will thank us, and they will look back and they will see us as the forerunners of this growing movement that's had enough of this senseless, needless carnage. Thank you for watching. Remember, the future is dog free.